This is a face.
And this is Faces. Hello there, Nate Jackson, Criterion Collection Reviewer Guy here. Part 2 of our so far epic as hell John Cassavetes, and I think it's that, John Cassavetes. John Cassavetes 5 Films box set number 252, John Cassavetes Faces. 1968, 130 minutes, black and white monaural. Just as chilling and even more. I think it's even more chilling than Shadows. I mean, Shadows isn't really that chilling. It's just like thought-provoking. Faces is chilling. Faces is what happened is like Husbands, but in black and white. I don't know if you guys have seen Husbands, but if you're a fan of John Cassavetes or these movies, the next one you want to see is Husbands. It's just a trip and a half. And I wish that was in the Criterion Collection. I wish there was more. I'm actually now curious. Is there more in the Criterion Collection, or is that it? Let's take a quick look. But yeah, no, I don't have much to say about this one because it's one of those very just like, it feels like it's improvised, but it was like completely scripted. I mean, I'm sure some of it was improvised, but you know, they said, you know, Cassavetes had a script for this, you know. Let's see. Shows. Is that it? Are there any? No, it looks like that was it. That's. Wait, no, wait. There is another one. Oh, Love Streams is in it. The Criterion Collection. Oh, okay, so yeah, so Love Streams. That's number 721 though. So it's gonna be a while before we get to another one, but oh well. Anyway, so yeah, Faces. What happens to this one? So it's about this couple, Richard and Maria, who are basically at the end of their marriage. They just basically, they can't live with each other. They try to stand each other, but have just basically gotten to the point where they just can't, you know, they can't stand each other, but it's like, you know, it's that special kind of I hate you but I love you at the same time that you can't really explain unless you've been in the relationship or seen it, you know. And like it's best described in these movies like Faces and like that, you know. Richard spends time with this friend whose name I can't remember, and this woman named Jeannie, who's played by Gina Rowlands, Cassavetes' real wife, and she's like, I guess she's a prostitute or something like that, or I mean, he makes the joke. Well, at first I was really confused because of like what was going on. It starts off with we see Richard at work, and he's like this like businessman who works at like for some thing, and I thought like, and then we see like this like projection room, and we see this film, and I thought, okay, this is like they made the film, and it was kind of confusing, and then we see the actual credits or the title sequence, and then I think next we see Richard with his friend and Jeannie, and they come home, and I figured that he was I figured that Jeannie was his wife, you know. But I was looking, I was like, and I looked at it, so I looked at it again and said Maria. I'm like, oh, so this isn't his wife, you know, because I was like, I just thought, you know, I was like trying to make sense of it all, because I thought, okay, it makes sense, you know, these two are together, they're laughing, but they're gonna break down by the end of the film. And then when he, you know, the guy propositions her and says, how much do you charge? And she gets all pissed off and throws him out. But she wants Richard to stay, and Richard leaves, goes home, and then I see this woman, I'm like, wait. And then she says, oh, you know, I'm your wife or something like that. And I'm like, oh, you know, and it just all kind of, you know, comes to me, you know. It's like, it was a little confusing there, but at the same time, I got the gist of it. And you see their relationship, they fight, and then they're laughing, and he's telling really crazy jokes, like, what's black and white and red all over? And she says a newspaper, and he says, no, a zebra's ass. And I'm like, oh, geez. Jesus Christ. Oh boy. So he goes out and leaves, and he goes to see he sees Jeannie again, and she's entertaining these other two guys, these two salesmen or something like that, and he almost gets into a fight with one of them, and then they kind of, it's hard to describe these scenes because a lot of it is so dialogue driven, and it's very loose. It feels very loose, and it's very much just about the emotion in the voices and just the pacing and all that. I'm just giving you the basic bare bones of what I can tell you, As I said before in Shadows, I know I'm revealing the plot to you basically, but in a movie such as this, I can't, I really can't do it justice. You have to see it for yourself. I'm gonna tell you what I saw, but it's not gonna help, Faces, back to Faces. So Richard's with Jean, or Jeannie, or Jean, I think it's Jean. Jeanne, I guess it's Jean. Meanwhile, Maria and her friends go out to a club and watch all the young people dance, and they eye this one guy whose name, I forget his name, Kurt. He's played by Seymour Cassel, who was the associate producer on Shadows, and he's in one of the later films, but yeah, here he is. And they bring him home, and he's one of the older ladies, Florence, starts flirting with him, and she really likes him. And Maria and there's Maria and the other chicks. I can't remember their names right now. But yeah, no. And then one of them's like really prudish and like tries to get into it, and at one point when she finally like loosens up and starts to dance, he like criticizes her, or like tells her that they're being childish, and so she walks off and leaves, or she drives off, and then he says he's gonna take Florence home, and I think Betty Joe, or I forget her name, Betty Lou or something like that. I think she leaves too, and then so Maria's by herself, and I don't know how he does it, but I guess he comes back like in record time. I don't know if he actually took her home or just left her in the car or something like that. Because he comes back and he, seduces Maria, and he tries to make love to her and all that, and so she basically, gets ready and all that. She gets dressed and they make out on the bed, and then we cut back to Richard and Jean. I guess he spent the night. I guess they made love, and in the end he leaves her. I guess feeling better about everything. That part was a little unclear to me. Just the dialogue between Richard and Gina. But what's more clear to me is Maria's story, because apparently we don't see it, but I guess when she got dressed, and while the guy whose name I really can't, who's Cassel's character, whose name I really can't remember. He gets undressed. She took sleeping pills. When we cut back to Maria, she's on the floor, like unconscious, and Cassel's character is dialing the emergency hotline, and he hangs up before he gives him the number, and he takes her into the shower. He tries to wake her up. He takes her in the shower, pours water on her, and he tries to get her to drink coffee that he throws together. And he slaps her around, and he finally resorts to sticking his fingers down her throat so that she'll gag, and she finally starts coughing, and she comes to, and she eventually regains consciousness, and basically kind of chides him for because she's really bitter about it all, but in the end they embrace. And meanwhile Richard comes home. He comes upstairs and sees Maria, and Cassel's character is out the door. He jumps out the window. He runs after him and looks out the window, and he's gone. And I was like, Seymour Cassel, ladies and gentlemen, hey! Associate producer on Shadows, hey! Associate director and producer. And so basically he and Maria get into a slap fest, and it's hard. I can't describe the ending. It's just they just give up. it's hard to explain. It's like there's no happy ending to there is absolutely no happy ending to this film. There's nothing happy about this film in any way. All the laughter, all the there is no such thing as joy in this film. All the laughter, all the jokes, it's all got this just sadness to it, and I fucking love it, honestly. I don't know why. Maybe it's just this Cassavetes. It's just his direction is fantastic. The way he makes movies, They were saying in the documentaries, one of the things that he hates is when he just wants to I think he said that he is the only one who could say cut. He gets upset when actors stop acting. He just wants the cameras to keep rolling, and they'll edit it together in the end, and that's basically it. He just wants the actors to keep rolling with it. And yeah, that's basically all I can say about Faces. It's there's, like I said, the minimal plot. A lot of it is in the dialogue and just seeing the actors act. So I feel like, yeah, definitely with this review, I hope I gave away a lot of it, but I really don't feel like I gave away enough of it that I ruined the movie for you. It's still something you need to see for yourself. And on that, I'm gonna give this one an A-, just because I was a little confused by Richard and Jean's plot. Their side of the story was a little confusing. But outside of that, it was a fantastic movie. Just another nail in the coffin for me getting this. And shoot, yeah, that's all I can say. It's just Faces. Great movie. So it's a 2-disc. This one's a 2-disc. Disc 2 has all the supplements. There is a 17-minute alternate opening, which from an earlier edit of the film. It's jingled around a little. We see the title sequence first, and all the credits first, and then we see the sequence where Richard's at work, and then we see Richard with Jean and his friend at the bar, and then I guess no. First we see Richard laughing with Maria, telling jokes, and then he goes to work, and then we see Maria at work. I think she's like a telephone operator or something like that. And then we see Richard and his friend and Jean at the bar, and then they go home, and yeah. So that's basically that's what was cut. And there was a little bit of jangling around, and then there's a whole sequence at this bar that was cut. And then what else we got? Cineastas de Notres Tempos, cinema directors of our time, or something like that. And it's a 48-minute documentary or episode from a French television series. It was done in 1958. Split up into 2 parts. The first part was done in 1965, and it was, I guess while Cassavetes was making Faces that long ago. It took him 3 years to make the movie, which is like, it's kind of crazy. It's the same thing that happened to Shadows. Like, the movie keeps getting edited, And yeah, so the movie is, it's really cool. It's like he's very young. He's very, he has a very just joyful, bounce to him. He's laughing and telling jokes and just very joyful and all that. And it was really fun to watch. But it's interesting to note the contrast when we see him later in 1968, after the movie's been released, and he talks about it, and it's more of just a more formal interview, where he's at home with Gina. You can see her looking on, and he looks a lot older, a lot more mature, a lot less joyous, as if there's this sadness that's come over him. At some point, there's this sadness that's taken over him, or something like that, or just and I wonder if it has something to do with the movie, or just the movie not turning out the way he wanted it to, or something like that. And it's just kind of disheartening to see him like that, to see the contrast between the two Cassavetes. But at the same time, still really interesting. It's still great to see the guy. I mean, this is our first little interview with him. Then there's a new documentary that Criterion made, a 42-minute documentary called Making Faces, which has just making of Faces. Gina Rollins, Seymour Cassell, Carl Lynn, who played Maria, and the director of photography, Al Ruban, who they just tell stories about working with Cassavetes and making the shots and all that. I think the most interesting story about that I can share with you is that Al Ruban mentions that apparently when they were shooting, they decided not to transfer sound over with the film or the picture. I guess you do that usually with most films, but they decided not to do it with this one. And so at some point, I guess the film got lost or something, or got deleted, or they couldn't use it. So they had to get the actors to go back in the studio and overdub their lines. And so I guess like at certain points you can tell that their mouths don't match up to what they're saying. And like if I had known that, I'd have been paying more attention to it, because it's like, because they were showing an example of when Richard's friend was saying something and his mouth was like a little off or a little behind, and I was like, damn! I was like, God, that's just so cool. I totally missed it, totally did not notice it. So these are these kind of things that it's great when, I mean, this was done in 2004. It's great that most of these people were still alive. I know Gina Rollins. I know Gina Rollins is still alive. She's like in her 80s or something. And then the final thing is 12 minute feature called "Lighting and Shooting the Film," which is just Ruban just giving a little commentary on certain shots, and it's probably the most technical thing you'll learn about the movie. It's just about how they shot scenes. Just all the crazy lighting effects they used for the films. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's really detailed, it's really meticulous, and if you're a lighting expert, this is for you. This is what you're gonna get into. I mean, I tried to follow along, and it's just like, okay, that's interesting. I don't know how much of that I really, I ain't gonna, none of that's gonna stick with me, because I don't know much about lighting. Although I love the fact that the lighting, the bulbs in here are good. I mean, that I can do these reviews later on the evenings and all that. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my extent of lighting, my knowledge of lighting. Is like, when the camera is cool, like right now I can see it and it all looks all decent, that's when I know the lighting's good. So, anyway. So yeah, Faces, that's all I can say about Faces. A-. Great movie. I'm still gonna get this. Shadow on Faces. Oh boy. So yeah, so that's it for me today. Tomorrow, of course, we got Woman Under the Influence, Christmas, and then Saturday, Killing of a Chinese Bookie, and then Sunday, opening night, and then Monday, we have Constant Fours, The Life and Art of John Cassavetes. And yeah, and then we'll be done with the box, and we'll be moving on to the next Secret Honor, Tanner 88, Fat Girl, Eyes Without a Face, and eventually Fanny and Alexander. Bergman, why do you keep popping up? Oh boy. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Gosh, Faces. Morals. What's a moral for Faces? Get out. I guess get out if you don't respect your marriage, get out or end it, or something. I don't know how to describe it. Just, I guess don't take your marriage for granted, or just, I can't really say. It's just, love is sometimes, I had one. It just came back to me. Sometimes in love, there is just no joy. There's just, love just can't fix things, sadly. It's just funny, just like watching this movie, you get the sense that sometimes it's a very despairing look at love, Nobody really gets any kind of happiness in this film, and I already said that, but I just wanted to harp on that again. Sometimes it's just, I guess in life, just sometimes love just can't fix things. It's, just love just disappears sometimes. Anyway, sorry, that's a little depressing, but that's the best I got right now. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for A Woman Under the Influence. And until until then, goodbye.